code.
And the QR code is also on the back of your brochure that's with you. So if you have a question along the way, just scan it, and almost at the end of the whole thing, they're going to answer your questions. There's no QR code.
There is like a tiny one behind, like the back page.
Oh.
Um, sorry, can I borrow yours? Oh, yours? Yeah. So this tiny one right here. If you don't have one, you can like borrow from someone beside you to scan it. Yeah. Thank you.
The QR code is also going to be projected if you need to see it now. Okay. Okay, for this next session, we're going to be inviting some people on stage, people that you're familiar with. Like some of them you're familiar with, most of them, I guess. The first person that we're calling on is Toye Oyedeji. Toye Oyedeji is an engineering or project management professional who moved to the United States at 16. He grew up in the Gospel Faith Mission Opportunity. He grew up serving the Gospel Faith Mission Opportunity, where he has spoken with high school students about the power of God to the sons of God. And he has been a strong believer and has helped the mission of Christ in many different ways. Let's put our hands together as we welcome him on stage.
All right, so the next person we're going to be inviting is Oyinye Ejika. Can we put our hands together for her? So she's a biochemistry and molecular biology academic background. She's an aspiring MD to PhD focused on women and children's health. She grew up in a Christian home, has a personal relationship with God since high school, and she moved to the U.S. spiritually at first, but then she was introduced to a church community, and then since then she has grown and understood God's learning purpose for her life. And fun fact, she's a K-drama girly, so yeah.
The next person will be welcome at Bell Design. She and she that she her phone will be
It was Temida Junior at the university. She has a current sciences with concentration in public health and English. She gave her life history of RCCG to read and write and listen to music. And so yeah, let's put our hands together.
So we're going to be asking them some of the questions that you wrote as when you signed up or you registered for the event. So please pay attention as they answer your questions.
Hi and hello. Hi. So we're gonna be asking you guys some questions, and if anybody has like an input or an experience based on the question, you could like just speak up in the mic. And if you have something else to add, if somebody has already spoken, you have something to add, you can just go on after that, and after that we just move like that. So the first question is, how do you navigate the business of how did you navigate the business of the senior year of college? Like I heard that's very hectic with preparations to enter the job market and land a job. So from your experience, if some of you graduated from college already, so how did you navigate that year of your life? And if you haven't yet, how do you plan or how do you look into navigating it? So yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Onyinye Jaka. I just graduated college, so yeah. Um, how did I navigate senior year and going into the job market? Is that the question? Okay. To start with, senior year was hard. Not even gonna lie, it was tough, but it wasn't bad. I think one thing that helped me was I knew what I wanted to do, so I planned to go to med school, on the part of being a physician scientist. So I knew I had to start preparing for my exams, my board exams, during my senior year, and I had my senior year exams, and I had to start looking for a job. So it was a whole lot of things, but one thing that helped me was to, first off, to come to God in that place of prayer. I think that's something that is very, very important. Is that, like he was saying, like we were created with a purpose, and the person that created us, and he knows what he wants to do with our lives. So just taking every part of your life to God and allowing him to direct your path is something that's very, very useful. So I took it to God. I was like, God, see, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be it's going to be a hard year. Not necessarily hard, but like I knew it was going to be tough. So I was like, God, please help me. And the second thing I did was to write down things I wanted to achieve and something like that. So and start working towards them. So in my senior year, I started preparing for my MCAT. Also, my senior year, I started applying for jobs and those like the regular things you would do, but doing them with intentionality, not just doing them because I'm meant to do them. If you get what I mean. So I think that was something that helped me. And finally, just making good connections with people. I was talking to someone outside, and I was just telling her how like I've been searching for like a job for like before I graduated. I was searching for a job for a long time, and one day I just reached out to one of my seniors, and I was like, "Hey, I really need a job. I don't know what's going on in the job market right now. I've applied to a lot of jobs," and she was like, "Yeah, I'll connect you this, that, that." So I reached out to the labs, and that was how I landed a job, Rich Harry. So I'm just like making connections with people, especially people that are within your circle and even out of your circle, is very important because you don't know how God is going to lead you in that path. So your seniors, the people that graduated, even your peers as well, your professors, making those connections with them, it's very important. So going to God in place of prayer, writing down what you want to do. Like he said, seest thou a man diligent in his works, he will stand before kings, he will not stand before men. So this is my plan. I take it to God in prayer and allow God to direct you, not just, oh, this is what I want to, like allow God to speak to you and to direct you in the way he wants you to go. And yeah, make like just like the basic things that you see that it's not really, you might think that, oh, it's not a big deal. Those things actually matter. So I think that's just it. Thank you.
Will any panel member have anything to add to that?
Interesting one too. Okay, I'm happy to add to that. So, in my final year of college, um, it was relatively, it was like half and half. I spent my last half of that year, the second semester, taking only 2 classes. So I had all the time for God. And then my first semester, I think I was taking regular 16 to 18 hours or so. Um, I was not as intentional, but I figured what God was doing and how I was helped. At that point in time, which is where, disclaimer, you guys asked who my auntie is. My big sister is, well, we'll call her Sister Victory, Sister Busola. That's how I know her in school. So, we would have these meetings in school, me, Victory, Busola, a couple of my brothers, and we would, have our own, not our own church, but that little apostolic sharing. And that was it. We would worship God, would talk, and before you know it, it's a matter of, it's like we have to pray. So those meetings would increase, and I was not there willingly. I was there, but I wasn't there willingly, which is why I said God helped, and I wasn't part of I just found myself in the process, and I was like, man, I thank God I was here. So I wasn't too caught up as to what was going to happen in the future. By His grace, I'd already God had provided a job 1 year ahead. So it was more like, let's complete, like, let's get this done and move on. But still, let's get this done with very good grades. But in light of late nights, very late nights, trying to complete your final project, I would just see meeting at chapel Kai, on WhatsApp. They will put it on WhatsApp and say, let's see, let's meet. And if you're not meeting, what are you doing? Like, are you really doing anything that's worth your time? So I would just go there, and I like to sing, even though I don't like. I like to sing. You know, it doesn't mean you know how to sing. So when they are singing, I'll just go there, you know, clap, clap, clap. And I can never forget one particular meeting, you know, Sister Victory, those people that are strong. She said, I can be here forever. I said forever. So those kind of meetings were shaping me. You know, my friends would share the word. I would digest the word. I could go home and not even having to lift a finger. That atmosphere was helping with a lot of, it was taking a lot of burdens off me. What I mean by that is that atmosphere, you know, God's grace and God's favor will just rest upon each and every one of us. That because we spent our time with God, the time we could have been spending doing physical things, God will, you know, send a helper. A helper meaning a teacher that likes you. A teacher that can tell you, okay, go to this website, you find this there, or come to my office hours, we can solve this. Or no, you don't need to, like, he will just show you the way to do it. The Bible records that Isaac sowed in that land, in a land of drought, and he reaped more than 100-fold. Some people probably could not do the same thing. So I will attribute it only to God, and for me, and I thank him, I participated. But what I saw was that he gave me a cheat code that I didn't know was a cheat code. I just started doing things, and they were working, and I found out in hindsight that it was him.
Thank you for all your great answers. The next question is, what are practical steps to take to get a job after graduation, especially as an international student? So I think you can also answer as not an international student, so just like steps you can take throughout college.
You want to? Okay, great. So depending on what your major is, what you study in college, which is why what you study matters a lot. And when you're making the bold move of coming from a country, um, coming from, how should I describe it? Though you can be an international student as a Canadian, but I want to believe some way or another you should have the work authorization to work in the US. I may be wrong. But in essence, if you mean you're graduating, you don't have work authorization, and you need one, you know, to work because you want to stay in the US, I think that prior to even choosing your major, please consider what major you are choosing. There's some majors that are called, and you have to be careful in this, there's some majors that are called high ROI majors. If you're studying engineering, you will get a job. If you're studying nursing, you will get a job. If you're studying, if you're going to school to be a doctor, expensive, but you will get a job. Now, as to how you're going to do that, number one, getting a job, that planning has to take place far before graduation. But if you found yourself in a situation where you have no relevant experience and, excuse me, and now you're graduating your bachelor's degree, and you don't have a job, my best advice in that case is if you have some type of funding, go find a master's and just do the master's and get yourself into an internship, because it is very hard, or it's very unlikely, though we know that God works miracles, that people hire people with no experience whatsoever and provide that visa sponsorship that gives you the work authorization that you need. They usually want to give a work authorization to someone that they know that's bringing immense value to their company, aka, once again, how do you define immense value? Immense value is simply a high ROI major. It makes it so easy. From my experience in my folks in Dallas, once you're studying nursing, once you're graduating, there is a company that's ready to start sponsoring you and start providing you all these RN jobs, registered nursing jobs. So imagine, like, kids just coming from Nigeria, back in Louisiana where I live, kids just coming from Nigeria and they're studying nursing already because they need to stay. But if you're studying engineering, it's somewhat the same thing where, okay, you know for a fact the companies are sponsor, Microsoft, Apple, Google, the big tech giants. So you have to strategically position yourself in that case and understanding also the political landscape. What I mean by political landscape, what is the president saying? What is the country saying? And in a case where you found yourself in that you're stuck, now you have to take a pause and come back and look at, okay, what are the relevant things I can put on a resume that can get me into an employer that sponsors? Because some companies will not break the rule of sponsorship or providing work authorization. So once you put that relevant project on your resume, what they're looking for is experience and you being able to articulate that in an interview. So, what is it? I led. This is the result. This is the, what do I call it now? We were able to do this. You show, and you're able to speak about these in behavioral interviews. Then you have an edge in that case. So that was my experience just as a STEM major. I'm sure others can speak to it too.
Does anybody else have any perspective? Maybe not as an international student, but as a citizen or something like that.
Sorry, can I add one more thing as an international student? I know I mentioned this before, but it's very important for you to form good relationships with your professors, like, because you need their recommendations, especially for international students. Very important. And even just regular students, you need their recommendations. And the second thing is that, like you said, try to find internships right now. So if you are currently like maybe in college, you can try to find internships. And if you don't, try to volunteer in the things that you want to do. So volunteering is a good option. In case you don't have an internship, you can volunteer on paid labor, I guess. And it's a good way to get experience. So yeah, thank you.
I'm happy to answer for the US citizens too, because I'm one. I didn't come as an international student, but as you can tell, I went to a school filled with a lot of them. So as a US citizen, I'll talk from my privileged side and what I saw also as some of my peers were not as privileged. So the mistake that some people may make also is not using their summers wisely. I was just sharing with a couple of people that came to talk to me that, okay, you're getting into college. And I was like, oh, do you have LinkedIn? And they already had LinkedIn. That's like, you're far ahead. And I was looking and one of them already had a headshot. I was like, I didn't have this until my sophomore year. So you are far ahead because the strategy God showed me, which is what I want us to listen. I think God is always going to show strategies. And I found out it works because I was able to transfer it to somebody else. And the guy is repeating the exact same, like, that this thing works. When you get into college, I told him, go to school, go to class, get your 4.0 as a freshman. Because what classes are you taking as a freshman? Government, English, what? History? What else for those who have gone to college? And math, maybe some type of math, algebra. You know it's easy. I mean, by the grace of God, of course. So get, that really high GPA. And then if you are in, you have that GPA, it's summertime, start applying for the internships. Because as a freshman, no company is expecting you to come and start, talking about the electrons and, the body, this, all of that. No technical knowledge is required from you. They're just bringing you in for all these welcome programs, or they may fly you to California for a week, tell you about their program in school. So those programs, I was telling him, go for those. And he went for one, did the same thing to another person, go for one, and like 3 of my sisters in school, or I call them sisters, you know what I mean, they went for one of these conferences. Then in those conferences, you have live access to interviews. When you're well prepared, you know how to speak, you know how to articulate words. It's packaging, especially as a freshman. Nobody's expecting anything from you. So as long as you can do that, or do that early enough in your freshman, sophomore year, because as a junior, now they are looking for specific skills from you. And if you've not gotten anything in your freshman year or your sophomore year, it gets very difficult for you. So it's necessary that in those 2 years of college, God helps you to find something and that you keep your GPA high enough so that, you can be considered in the first place for an interview or a call.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. Just to emphasize on what they said. So no matter where you are, college, high school, LinkedIn, please join LinkedIn. There are lots of opportunities available for you there. Okay. So the next question I would ask is what do you do to stay afloat in high school? So does anybody have any experience?
Okay, so my high school experience was definitely, it was normal until maybe like until March of 2020. That I was in my freshman year of college or a freshman year of high school when COVID happened. So that was definitely a big transition going into like being in high school and then just like immediately switching to online. So like I think that that really changed up the way I work, but I think that staying afloat academically in high school, the main thing is just doing your work, honestly, and staying focused because a lot of the times your friends, like, people always say things or like, oh, I don't want to do that, or just like, you might just feel kind of like just a laziness kind of, or just like a feel dejected about your work. But the thing is, high school, it's the easiest it's gonna get. It's the easiest it's gonna get. Like from as soon as you step out of it, you're gonna see that people expect way, 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 way more of you. So I think the main thing is just making sure that you're staying on top and staying ahead because from your freshman year, it's so easy to keep a high GPA than it is to like bring a low one up. Because one class, if you fail one class, it'll mess up your GPA, and then it's gonna take forever to bring it back up. So I think, yeah, mainly it's just stay on top of your stuff.
Thank you.
Does anybody have anything else to add to that? Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna also add this that you all should also think about your passion. Like, why are you in high school, or why do you want to go to college in the first place? Like, your parents are doing so much to make sure that you'll stay on top of your game and be the best you can be in life. So, do you want to throw all of that out the window? Like, if you could be doing something to help yourself in the future, and you decide not to, that is time that you are wasting on your own detriment. You don't want to go into the future and look back and realize that you should have done better. It's better for you to put in the work now and reap the harvest in the future. The next question that we have is, how do I go about writing my college essay? Yeah. So does anybody have an answer to that? And I hope you all are writing down some of these answers because they're really going to help you in your college or high school or middle school life as you're going on.
So for as far as college essays, if you use like the Common App, which most people should, it should give you prompts, so that can kind of help you get started there. As for personal, as for your personal essay, you kind of want to dig deeper and bring show the colleges you're applying to more about yourself, that they can't infer about your grades. Like they can't infer about you from your grades. So if there's like a story that really made you who you are today, then include that, write about that, make it a narrative, make it interesting, make it eye-catching. If you're not a great writer, reach out to someone that you know can give you another eye on your essay, so you can so it can be the best it can be, because you want it to be the best it can be.
Another thing I would say is that like what you just said, you gotta bring yourself into your essay. Your application, it's full of your application is full of things like your grades, your extracurriculars, and yeah, your grades and your extracurriculars. So it's like you have to think about who you are outside of all those things or in addition to all those things. Like, what is the most important thing to you right now? Or like, what is the most important thing that has, like, what you said, shaped you? Like, something I talked about a lot is how much like being in church impacted my life, because I mean, as a pastor's kid, I was in church from the like day one. So it's like it's really like shaped who I am and like pushed me and directed me where I need to go. So it's like those things, you can't get that from looking at just like this little blurb that says I volunteered here. Like, you can't get the emotion and the, you know, the backstory.
Thank you. So, I think one insight I would like to add to everything that they said is that, like, so for some of you, you're just starting out in your career and stuff, and like from high school, from the college applications down, like to any other the highest degrees you can think of, essays are very, very important. You're going to write essays for scholarships, for internships. You're going to keep on writing essays. So I think it's very important right now to start thinking of what motivates you, like in terms of your career. If you're still early, like write down things, you know, I'm doing this because I want to do this because, right? And then just, and if you are about to apply for college or you're thinking of college applications soon, then you want to think back at why did I do certain things? Like it's not just about what you did, it's also about the motivation behind it. So I think another question is, what are the best ways to study? Yeah. You can do it based on your the majors you're currently in, or where you're currently, you know, working, or like, yeah.
Okay, so I'm biochemistry major, so a lot of the classes I take are science classes, and so it really depends on the class you're taking, really. So back in high school, I took calculus, and like taking those types of math classes, it's mainly, when you're doing things like that, it's mainly just practicing the questions over and over again until you can see any type of question and be able to answer it, because it's just like you have to figure out every single way you can answer this question, and then like practice it. Things like biology are more like understanding and concept focused. Like, you have to understand the processes like within a cell and things like that. And so that's mainly just, I would say that is recalling, and a lot of that is just like, I wouldn't say memorization, but you have to understand and be able to apply what you understand. And so practicing that is a good way to study, so that any type of question that they can ask about that process, you'll be able to answer it. So.
Okay, I can add to that. So like you said, active recall. I think active recall is actually very important and very helpful. So it's basically like when you study, you try to like teach yourself what you've studied, and then study in such a way that you can explain it to someone. That's how you know you've probably studied. And one thing I like to do also is passive recall, and just engaging people around me with what I've actually studied. So I'll be like, hey, do you know that if you sleep this hour, like this, like just trying to engage your studying into your conversations is very important, and it works well, trust me. And then one last thing I would say for studying is, like you said, practice, but also try to, what I do sometimes is when I read, I mean, that was in high school though. I didn't really use that a lot in college because, yeah, I don't know why. But it really helped me in high school, and I think at the beginning of college, when I read, I try to give myself an exam, especially when like what I'm studying is very in-depth, like biochemistry, like the citric acid cycle, like the glycolysis, like those things that require that active recall. So I read, and then I give myself an exam, and I try to like answer the questions and something like that. That basically you're trying to stimulate your brain to be able to get used to the things that you're studying. So yeah.
Yeah. And we have AI, like, and I'm not telling you to use AI to cheat on your test or your assignments, but it's something that's fast developing and growing in the world today. and you don't want to miss out on it because you don't know how to use it right for yourself. So something that I've seen some of my friends do and we're all learning to do is like use AI to break down stuff that seems hard to understand immediately, or use it to test yourself, or I don't know, you know how to use AI, but just use it right. Like use it to help you be better. And one last question that we have, because we only have time for one more question, is how to manage stress with testing and assignments.
I'm happy to do that one. So, and I learned this the hard way. Well, hard but soft. So in college, I grew up. I went to a high school in Nigeria that really they encouraged very high grades, because at the end of the semester, you know, you want to go home knowing that, okay, I went with this certificate, with this badge, so that at least, you know, you have a good summer in quotes. So coming to the US, you best believe I was blowing my grades, you know, out of the blue. But I remember taking calculus 1, and I did calculus already back in high school. So I started doing it, and then COVID happened. You know, they switched it from paper tests to online tests. Once you miss one formula, one drawing, one integral, wrong. The whole So I was failing some continuous assessments, and before I found out, you know, there was so much pressure on my final for me to get an A. I wasn't going to fail the class, but I wanted an A because, you know, why else am I going to school? So, what did God teach me? God taught me that when you are in class, always strategize. Like when you're in school, always strategize. Find a way to strategize. The strategy is this: if you have a final exam that is taking 30% of your grades, do everything within your power that is legal and allowed in school to take the need for whatever grade you are aiming for to depend on your final. So what do I mean? You have homework 15%, do your best to get 14. Like, get all the materials. AI is there to help you, not to just get the grades. I will say this with my chest. Chegg is there to help you, not for you to just cheat on your exams. Your professors are there to help you. Go to them whenever you don't know a question. Talk to your friends. I say this one because it hurt my sister. She did not, like, she wouldn't interact with friends. And, you know, now you're telling me you don't know your homework. Class that you're supposed to get, you know, 90, you're getting 87, and you know you need the high GPA for what you're doing in the future. So, help yourself by simply strategizing. That was the strategy God gave me. And by His grace, I was focusing on my homeworks. And because I applied so much effort in my homeworks, guess what? My exams were a breeze. So I was doing the tests, the exams very well. And when I got to the final that they will say you should read everything that they taught you the past 4 months, my brain can only carry so much. So I would do my due diligence in studying, but I wouldn't study because my life depended on it. So I was able to take pressure off my final, and I found that, okay, whatever I aimed for, God was able to give me the grace to then do. So it's more like strategizing and doing the work up front and taking it off the final exam.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we have come to the end of the panel, but we will give space for 1 or 2 questions. So if anybody in the audience has any question.
If you have questions, how many questions would you like to for them to ask, please? 2. So if you have questions, raise up your hand. Okay.
Um, how do you know? How do you know you're doing the right thing when applying for like colleges and like building your resume? Like, how do you know that you're applying for like the right programs and all the things that you're doing aren't useless?
From my experience, the only way to walk through a road you've not been through is to ask somebody to hold your hand. So I had uncles who had, or one uncle at least, who had gone through the system of applying, of running, building resumes. I can never forget my own testimony. I call it a testimony because the day I met Sister Busola, it was at our Redeem youth Bible study in school. I walked into Bible study because they said it's a game night and there was free food. So I went there for free food. And then a guy sees me and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm in school for mechanical engineering." He's like, "Really? Me too, I went to school for mechanical engineering." And he's like, "Okay, so what are you doing now?" I said, "I'm a sophomore, my second year." And he's like, "Really? Give me your number." So he takes my number and then he calls me and basically he holds my hand through everything that I would call success today. He says, "This is how you write a resume." Puts the bullet points. And then I show my dad. My dad is like, "This is a very good first pass. How did you do this?" I was like, "Oh no, my big brother, let's call him that, helped me do it." And then for college applications, of course, I came from a Nigerian high school. I don't know how to write essays like an American kid should. And we write very simple, clear essays. Back there, you start using interesting words to make yourself sound good, right? So my uncle, who had applied to school before and got accepted, led me through that too. So sometimes it's more or less just getting the right guidance. And then when you're asking people for help, just use your judgment and check, what do they have to show that they're the right people to help. Don't let a poor man tell you how to get rich. Let a rich man that loves God tell you how to get rich. So that's my answer to you. Let someone who's been through it tell you how to do it best.
Thank you.
What are your guys' point of views on early decision and stuff and applying early decision?
With early decision, you need to know 1,010% if you want to. Early decision is. No, I mean that's the one where you get in the call. Okay, that's what I thought. You need to know 1,000%. That's the school you want to go to if you were to get in. Maybe have a couple backup schools in case you don't get in. But with early decision, if you get in, if they accept you, you have to stay committed. There's a huge fee if you decide to change your mind. So if you're like, "Oh, I'm not sure," if someone applied at other schools, it's still the school I'm looking at, then early decision is not for you. You should not be nowhere near that early decision button. Early action, just so you can hear back. Sure, okay. If that's how you want to roll, just hear an earlier answer, then okay, cool. But early decision only if you are 1,010% sure that if you were to get into the school, you want to apply there. I mean, if you want to get to that school, you know what I mean.
Yes, sorry. I think I want to add a bit to that. So right now, I'm looking to apply to grad school, right? And I think for early decisions for college applications, I think similar to what I'm doing right now is that you want to make sure that school is the perfect fit for you, right? The perfect fit for you. Every single thing that you want to do and you want to achieve, you must know you, so you must know that school is for you. So every single thing that you want to do and you want to achieve, you can do it through the resources of that school. And if you doubt it, just 0.0001%, don't. Because if you think that there's a possibility that if you get into the school you're not going to go at all, then don't even try doing a decision. So yeah.
But I also think early decision is a very, very good option because early, and it takes away a lot of stress when you know what school you're going to, especially early in high school. So yeah, if you can do early decision and you are sure, do it.
I want to ask, what grade should I get if I'm going to college or high school? What should I average my GPA, basically?
It really depends on what are your goals. What type of major you want to do? What school are you shooting for? Because if you look at each school, they'll say their average GPA that is accepted into that school. And so if you know that you want to go to a place like Vanderbilt, you need to have at least 3.5, at the very, very least. But like schools that are like maybe like um, community colleges or like state schools, those schools, you can have a lower GPA, but the thing is you want to have your GPA as high as possible because that it can give you, you can get scholarships based on your GPA as well. Merit-based scholarships are are very they're dependent on your GPA as well as your other grades. So even if you don't want to go to one of these super top schools, having a high GPA will help you. So make sure you yeah, shoot for a high GPA.
And if you have like an F in that class, it's not the end all be all. If it was a matter of like, oh, you had some kind of life event that like really derailed you, couldn't focus in class. If you were just being lazy and you got an F, why would you do that? But if it's like something happened in your life that caused you to get an F in class, you can, you can put that in your personal essay, and usually colleges will be very lenient and aware of like, are willing to work with that. So I'm not saying to get F for fun and try and make something up in your essay so they can still take you in. Be on your P's and Q's, but colleges are also understanding.
If I can also add to that, I think for you or for anyone who is in a system where there's standardized grading tests or anything, for the sake of neuroplasticity, do your best to get everything. You would thank yourself much later that you built the resilience. Am I using hard words? You thank yourself much later that you built the ability to do anything that's greater than what you do. I can never forget graduating from Calculus 1 into Calculus 2. After Calculus 1, I thought I was going to get an A and then I got a B. I entered Calculus 2 and this guy was ready to roast me. So, what did I do? I said, Toye, you are Toye. Nobody is above you. It's a lie. No class is above you. So that led me into the realm of studying until 1 a.m. My schedule changed from, I used to wake up like, I don't know, and then I'll sleep like maybe 10 or something. You can imagine that kind of life, sleeping at 10 p.m. I started studying up until 1, and I would wake up by 7 to start class again. But what did that do for me? That made me know that it appears to me that you are very smart, this boy. So for me, it's a matter of get yourself into that mode of getting super high things, not just because you want to kill yourself, but because one day your ability to stretch will pay you, and you'll be thankful to yourself that you did that. My experience with this, I was sharing during the teaching this morning that my classmates were asking me a question in high school: why study? Why be so diligent? Why be so meticulous? Because I wanted to be a civil engineer, so T-square drawing, the whole technical drawing, we were, you fold your sleeves and feel like you're an engineer at age 14. We're very happy. Why? I told them, you that you're asking me a question, your father owns a business. When he's done, he will give you the business. My father doesn't own a business. My father is still on salary. So I want to own a business. So I knew where I was going. Also, once I came to the US and my grades were being, transferred, I just realized that the school that I was coming to actually had higher grades than my school's A. So if I didn't aim for higher than what my school already capped me at, I may not have been able to get into the school I wanted to get into. So it pays you in the long run to just have much more than you need, or than you think you need at any point in time. So that's just my advice to you.
And sorry, just to add to what they said, I think this is just for someone. If you're probably like in your senior year of high school and you're already applying and you feel like your GPA is not good enough, it's very important to have a good GPA, but at the same time, don't allow it to discourage you. I say it in the sense of it's okay, you can apply, and don't just allow a bad GPA to discourage you from applying to schools that you want to apply to if you don't have the chance to bring it up. But if you have the chance to bring that GPA up, please try your best to do so. I say this because my last semester, I had a very good GPA in school, but my last semester I was really struggling, and I was like, I want to graduate to the 4.0 because I knew I was going to medicine, and I had to do it. And it wasn't easy, but because I think there were 2 classes, I was on a B and I was on a C, and I literally went to God, I was like, God, I want to graduate to the 4.0 GPA. Like, I've tried so much to get here, and I cannot just, and that's one thing I also want to say, like, there's nothing too hard for God to do. in as much as, like you said, there's a place of studying, there's a place of doing your due diligence, also take it to God in prayer. Tell God to help you, to give you the wisdom, to give you the strength. If you have the opportunity to bring up your GPA and you don't know how to do it, ask God for wisdom, reach out to people, do things that you can do. And if you're in a place that you cannot do anything, you're already applying, if you want to go for those big schools, still go for it. You never know what God can do. So yeah, I think that's what I said.
Okay, so for high school, if I were to like take a bunch of like courses that like prepare me, like get me my associates so I don't have to do much in college, is it easier to aim really high in high school so that college is like an easy run? Or do I just follow the flow of like 4 years high school, 4 years college, and then into the job market?
Sorry, I can take this one because I had a friend. He graduated a year before us, and he's basically doing biochemistry and molecular biology. And if you know college
Job market.
sorry, I can take this one because I had a friend. He graduated a year before us, and I saw the work that he put into it. So it's possible, but also like I think one thing I would say that if you're coming from high school to college, I think there are things called friends that did that. They had when they came to college, they just tried to. What I'll just say about that. As well, if you can structure your class, possible as well. Yeah, yeah.
I can speak on that as well, because I took a lot of APs in high school and I got a lot of credit for it, so which gave me the opportunity to make my schedule so that I could graduate early. I decided actually not to and take on another minor, so that I wanted to do another minor, so now I'm doing 2 minors, and like doing that, it makes being like intentional in high school will help you to be successful in college. Because for example, I took AP Calculus in high school, and because of that and because of the score I got, I didn't have to take calculus in college, and that took off a lot of stress because I have a lot of friends who taken calculus and they hate it. So yeah, because college calculus is something else. So like if you can take care of things in high school, especially if it'll help you within your major, like things like if you're doing like I'm doing biochemistry, so I took AP Chem in high school, and even though I didn't get the credit for it, it helped me when I took chemistry in college because it was so much easier because I knew a lot of the stuff. And it just made the class a lot easier because I had seen a lot of it before from taking the AP classes. So even if you don't get the score you want on your AP test, because I know some of them came out like 2 weeks ago. Even if you don't get the score, it will still help you. So if you can take an AP class, take your APs. If you can do the what's it called? Taking classes at community college. You can do that because it will help you, especially if you plan to go to school in Tennessee. Taking community college classes will help because they will transfer much easier than other, like if you're trying to go out of state.
How do you like juggle with like motivation to do work and things like that?
So you're gonna take the two together, okay?
As for like communicating with professors or even teachers and stuff, how do you go about that? And also, especially if like the person is difficult, if you know what I mean.
Do you have a difficult professor?
I'm happy to give that a stab. Oh, actually, no.
As for motivation, it's like you got to realize that 1, you're blessed to be in the spot that you're in, and 2, it's like sure you may get scholarships, but okay, cool. Sometimes like paying out of pocket. You're paying to be there. Put your best foot forward. You can't be wasting money. So let that be your reminder, and give you some motivation. As for communicating with professors, usually on like the first few days of class, those syllabus, office hours, all that kind of stuff, take advantage of those office hours and like say after class, ask questions, raise your hand. Like, don't worry about being a teacher's pet. It's better that you understand by asking questions that you may think are ridiculous, and you know have that relationship with your professor. Then you leave the class confused, don't know what's going on, and then you end up playing catch up. You're lost, all that kind of stuff. So, take advantage of those office hours. Talk to your professor afterwards. Ask questions. Email them. If they got a phone number that they put out on the syllabus, text them. Do what you got to do. It's their job, so you're not being annoying.
Can I ask, what do you want to study when you go to school? Do you have an idea? No, you. That asked about the professor. Is that computer science? You will be talking to your professors a lot. That's how it works. My sister just graduated computer science, and she spent time in a professor's office. So, for that one, I'll say two things, I guess, because one of it I personally experienced it. How you, I'll say, like behave in class to when you need help matters. So, I'll talk as a boy, because I'm not a lady, right? So, if you're coming to class in slides, your hair is not picked, you didn't wear deodorant, you didn't hear from you. Or, you're just tank top, like, you're just coming like you. Have y'all watched Harry Potter? Do you guys know that, like, they used to wear, like, those big robes? Yeah, school used to be very prestigious. So it doesn't mean you have to, like, go to school wearing a suit or anything. But you want to look very, very responsible and presentable. And thank God you're not going to school in Nigeria. That thing would have been a major requirement. I know in school that they make people dress like covenants. You will dress up to go to school. So the way you present yourself in class matters. Also, understand that you've paid for their services and they are actually very happy to provide you those services. I was the type of person, just because I wanted good grades, I knew where my good grades were getting me. I think I knew, but now I know. So I will pull the class back. Like, if you go to, I will send you back 2 slides, 4 slides, 14 slides. If I don't understand it, the whole class, no, you're not going anywhere. We will learn it today. Because I paid for it, and because he's gonna quiz us in a couple of weeks on that topic, and they're very open to it. They love when, what do you like to talk about? I don't know. I'm an engineer, so I like to talk about engineering stuff. So people like to talk about what they like. So once you ask him a question about, oh, what this code, it's like, come, let me show you something in my office, and then you just have to endure. Those are some difficult personalities. That means they're giving you more than you ask, right? And some people, they will say, find me in another week. Yeah, go ahead, schedule the meeting for another week, but, still follow up saying, just to let you know that, I still have this issue and the likes. I'll be coming to your office, sir. Then, was there another question? I don't think there was another one, right? For motivation, my experience with that one, I kind of got really early experience. This happened in first grade? Really bad grades. What happened? I came home and I got the yelling of my life. That was a lot of motivation for me. Because for the first time, and I grew up with this, like, you don't watch TV on the weekdays. That only happened because, I failed, first grade. Like, how can you fail first grade, for God's sake? So I failed first grade. I got a yelling. My mother took the TV remote, removed the TV. Just kind of made the rule that you can't watch TV every day. And I was like, for what? Grades? Okay, fine, I'll give you your grades. So I gave her a grade. And also, for motivation, pray to God to bring somebody who is, I'll say, good enough to lead you. Because when you have a good leader, you more than likely have a good benchmark for you to aim towards. So if your mom does, I don't know, like box braids, the only thing you know is what? Box braids, because that's what mom does, right? So you get used to that level of excellence, you get used to that level of diligence, and then you just keep growing and growing from that level.
I would also like to add to what you said about motivation. I think for me, one thing I told myself that I want to be a doctor. And one thing that really motivated me was seeing doctors. So I volunteered at Nashville General. And just volunteering there, it kind of did something to my mind. I was like, these are people that they've gone through trainings. And for me to be like this, the only thing that is stopping me from becoming like that is training. So I'm going to put myself through those trainings in order to get there. So there's something about like a mental model. Like you see people that are doing what you aspire to do, and it just does something to you. So that's that. Just go out. Volunteering is so cool. Like try volunteering. Just pick something that maybe you want to be a doctor, volunteer, shadow doctors, volunteer in the hospital, do something like that. And I think for me, the second thing, motivation, like I said, my last semester was very hard for me because I was juggling a lot of things. But I was like, Onyinye, I want to graduate with a 4.0 GPA. I wanted that for myself. Having a self-passion, like that passion, you know when I say passion, I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying, but like, most people say passion, but like, when you come to Nigeria, you say passion. Like you need to, if you know what you want to do, and you have a strong desire to do it, it's a good driving force to pull you to that place. And also, so when you combine that strong desire and then mental models, you see that, yeah, that's for me, that was what motivated me. And the second thing about professors is, I think one hint I would give is, make them notice you, like he said. So I feel like for me, one thing I did in freshman year, just score 100 in your exams. They're going to notice you. Like, I'm so serious. They will notice you. Like, once you're just like, and then you answer questions in class, not like you're trying to overdo, but like when they ask questions, you answer, you are very attentive, you don't press your phone. Like, they watch you. I don't like to stay in the front because I don't like professors looking at me, but I like to stay like in the middle and everything. And I'm very attentive. And so like, when I come to them, hey, this, they're so like, oh, this smart girl, I want to, kind of thing. So like, let them notice you. Let them notice you. And then I think that's just a good way for them to like have that connection with you. I think that's just it.
So, okay, yeah. In terms of motivation, I think I kind of struggled with like self-motivating when it came to like doing assignments and stuff, especially being in college, because you just have a lot of freedom. Like you can just sit in your room and not do anything for like hours and hours on end, and nobody's gonna come and call you to do it. So I think something that helped me is having highly motivated friends, because my friend will call me up and say, hey Timmy, what are you doing? I say, oh, I'm in my bed. And she would be like, get up, let's go. Like we're going to the library, or we're gonna go get some food, and then we're gonna go and do our work. And so that helps in terms of like just getting yourself to do something. Practically, you can give yourself, put yourself in the right place. If you know you can't do work in your room, don't stay in your room during the day. If you know you can't, like, if you know the library is the best place, or we have a student center. I like working in there, so, because I like the noise of it. So, like, put yourself in the right place to do your work. And also give yourself things to look forward to. If you say, like, oh, once I get this done, I have this coming up. So, like, if I know I want to hang out with my friends on this weekend, I need to get my work done beforehand so that I'm not stressing about that work that needs to get done in the back of my mind while I'm out with my friends. Because one time, I was literally sitting in a restaurant with my friends. We were all hanging out, and my friend pulled out her laptop because she still had an essay to do. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you have to get your work done. Like, make sure you have to put your work first. And so, like, putting your work first, and then also giving yourself things to look forward to, staying in the right place, and then having people around you will help give you motivation. And then in terms of professors, I would say, and it also goes along with like motivation and focus, is I like to sit, like, you gotta sit in the front. Like, don't sit in the back, because you're gonna pull out your phone, you're gonna be scrolling on TikTok during class. Put yourself in the best position to learn. Put yourself in the best position to focus. And so, like, okay, it really depends on the class, because in large lecture classes, it's easy to get distracted. So staying closer to the front where you're not seeing everybody doing who knows what will help you stay focused. Like, a lot of times when I go into testing rooms, I stay in the very first row because I cannot look at all these other people doing random stuff and focus on my test. So I sit in the very front and I just focus on my test and do it. So like you gotta like you gotta put yourself in view in the right place. And then also just like making sure you gotta make sure you ask questions, because like if you don't understand something, it's your responsibility to understand it. So you can't just wait for it to come, like wait for the information just fall in your lap. You have to go get it in college. Like you have to go and get everything that you need, because it's all there. Everything is out there for you. You just have to go and get it. So, yeah.
All right, one more thing. So when you guys all get to the point of applying to colleges and whatnot, hopefully you guys will get scholarships. Amen. So if you are lacking motivation, okay, you're procrastinating, you just had to go with your friends, late nights, just doing whatever, not doing your work, eventually that work is going to result in bad grades. Bad grades will result in a low GPA. Low GPA means they can take your scholarship, and they will take your scholarship, especially if it's merit-based. So lock in. And I may or may not be speaking from experience. So lock in. Oh, yeah, sorry. And then as for relationships with your professors, I feel like the majority of us have names that kind of already stand out. So I feel like it's kind of on you whether or not to have that association with your name be a good association or a bad association. Like they said, if you're coming to class with pajamas, coming in late, sleeping in class, always on your phone, your professor is tying that bad like reputation to your name already, as opposed to coming to class, paying attention, focus, actually looking at the teacher, asking questions, taking notes, stuff like that. It's a good association, right? That's what we want.
Teach them your name. Teach your professor your name. They'll come up to you and say, "Oh, how do you say your name?" Yes, go teach them your name. They'll remember it.
So I don't know about you all, but I've learned so much that even I am going to apply in my life in college, like right now. So you all definitely should have learned enough for your high school or your middle school or anywhere you are right now in life. And one more thing I'm going to say is that trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding, because we could say everything you just said right now, but I'm very sure none of us here had our lives pan out exactly the way we planned it to. God moves us in different ways, and he makes different things happen for very good reasons, and most of the time you only realize that in hindsight. So if you're going through anything, if you think you need more direction, talk to someone, but talk to God first and try to hear from him first. So please put your hands together for this beautiful panel and everything that you do.
Everybody say thank you.
If y'all have any other questions, just find us, talk to us. We don't bite. All right.
So next week, going forward.
Okay, so it's time. It's the time that most of us are waiting for. Not all of us, I hope. It's time for lunch. So yeah, let's go get lunch.
So we have the lunch in the multipurpose hall, and you could just take the left